Here's Clark. For 29 points, gets tripped up.
Foul on Diamond DeShields has been upgraded to a flagrant 1.
So the Diamond DeShields foul has been upgraded to a flagrant 1.
Aaliyah Boston steals the ball and passes to Caitlin Clark on the break. But Diamond DeShields comes out of nowhere and bulldozes Caitlin Clark, even laughing about it afterward. Despite this, Clark, who's been dealing with physical play all season, simply gets up and walks away. Caitlin is used to this rough treatment, especially considering this was the third foul from DeShields in just 38 seconds. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese is one of the most heated rivalries in the WNBA, gaining attention from fans and the media, including ESPN. Statistically, Caitlin Clark has been the victim of 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls, many of which come from Angel Reese's crew. It's obvious that players are trying to take Clark out of the Rookie of the Year race. Even ESPN's rookie rankings have controversially placed Angel Reese above Clark, despite Caitlin Clark's superior stats and her team's better win-loss record. The Rookie of the Year battle between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was at its peak heading into this game. Everyone knew the winner of this matchup would likely take home the award. Caitlin Clark wasted no time, showcasing her playmaking skills, dishing out assists, driving to the hoop, and sinking threes. By the end of the first quarter, Clark had 5 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists, while Angel Reese struggled with just 2 points. In the second quarter, Caitlin Clark continued her stellar play, hitting back-to-back threes and delivering incredible assists, solidifying her case as WNBA Rookie of the Year. She racked up 15 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds by halftime, while Reese could only manage 4 points and 6 rebounds, along with 4 turnovers. The second half saw Caitlin Clark completely dominate. She pulled off step-back threes, drew fouls, and set up her teammates for easy baskets. By the end of the third quarter, Clark had 8 more points and 2 assists, giving the Indiana Fever a 14-point lead. Meanwhile, Angel Reese could only manage 1 point in the quarter, finishing with a negative plus-minus rating of 4. Now let's dive into the Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese rivalry that's been brewing all season. This isn't just any WNBA rivalry, it's becoming a defining storyline for women's basketball. ESPN and other major sports outlets have been covering the tension between these two stars, both of whom dominated in college basketball and came into the WNBA with huge expectations. Both Clark and Reese have their own playing styles, and their personalities clash both on and off the court. Caitlin Clark is known for her sharp shooting and ability to control the game with her incredible vision and playmaking. Her stats speak for themselves, leading in points, assists, and overall team impact. On the other hand, Angel Reese is a force in the paint, dominating the boards with her rebounding prowess, but her offensive game has struggled to keep up with her defensive presence. The media, especially ESPN, has played a big role in amplifying this rivalry. Angel Reese may have the attention of outlets like ESPN, but it's hard to ignore that Caitlin Clark is winning the stats and the fan base. Clark's ability to light up the scoreboard and carry her team to wins has overshadowed Reese's focus on defense. Even though the rookie rankings might favor Reese at times, when you look at the numbers and the game impact, Caitlin Clark stands out as the better all-around player. But what makes this rivalry even more fascinating is what's at stake for the WNBA itself. Caitlin Clark isn't just battling Angel Reese, she's changing the way people view the WNBA. Clark's performances have brought in millions of new viewers, and ESPN has reported that games featuring Caitlin Clark have significantly higher viewership than any other WNBA games this season. It's clear Caitlin Clark is elevating the entire league. Clark's fan engagement is also unmatched. She's connecting with young fans, signing autographs, and showing genuine passion for the game. This has helped her build a loyal fan base, not just in Indiana but nationwide. Even LeBron James has shown support for Clark on social media, further highlighting her growing influence in basketball. The Indiana Fever's playoff push is also largely due to Caitlin Clark's leadership. Before Clark, the Fever hadn't made the playoffs since 2016. Now they're back in contention, and it's largely because of Clark's ability to take over games. Her impact goes beyond the stat sheet. She's a leader on and off the court, making her a valuable asset for the Fever and the WNBA as a whole. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is facing her own struggles. Though she was a standout in college, her transition to the WNBA hasn't been as smooth as Clark's. Reese's focus on rebounding is impressive, but she's struggling with scoring, especially in close games. During garbage time, when other rookies might rack up easy points, Reese's inability to capitalize against third-string defenders is becoming a glaring weakness in her game. The narrative from outlets like ESPN often tries to balance out the rivalry, but the reality is clear. Caitlin Clark has pulled ahead. As the WNBA Rookie of the Year race comes to a close, the stats, team performance, and fan engagement all point to one player, Caitlin Clark. The bigger picture, MVP conversations in Caitlin Clark's future. At this point, the conversation shouldn't just be about Rookie of the Year. It's time to talk about Caitlin Clark as an MVP candidate. Her performance has been nothing short of historic, and her numbers back it up. With 31 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds in this game alone, Clark is proving that she's not just the best rookie, she's one of the best players in the entire WNBA. While Angel Reese continues to focus on personal stats, Caitlin Clark is leading her team to victories, gaining attention from ESPN, and putting herself in the MVP conversation. Her ability to stay composed, take responsibility, and perform under pressure is what separates her from the rest. So what do you think? Is Angel Reese's obsession with Caitlin Clark hurting her game, or is she just hitting a rough patch? Should Caitlin Clark already be in the MVP conversation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, if you want to stay updated on all the latest WNBA drama, Caitlin Clark highlights, and ESPN breakdowns, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for more exciting WNBA coverage, and keep your eyes on the rise of Caitlin Clark.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go.
Sheryl Swoopes has been stirring up controversy in the WNBA, particularly with her critical comments about rising superstar Caitlin Clark. This season, Swoopes has made no secret of her jealousy, but her latest actions have taken things to a whole new level. ESPN, the network that's been closely following Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise, has highlighted her impact on the WNBA numerous times, making Swoopes' criticism even more surprising. Diamond DeShields recently made headlines in WNBA news for an aggressive play against Caitlin Clark, sparking intense debate among WNBA fans. Imagine this: DeShields intercepts Clark at half court during a key Indiana Fever game, not with just any foul, but with a clear, frustration-driven play. The fallout from this incident was immediate, with WNBA analysts and fans calling it out as a dirty play.
Against Caitlin Clark, it wasn't okay. It was a flagrant foul.
Igniting a firestorm of controversy. The aftermath of Diamond DeShields' actions didn't stop at just criticism. DeShields faced a barrage of backlash, including receiving racist threats.
Diamond DeShields received racist threats after Caitlin Clark flagrant foul,
which highlighted ongoing issues within the WNBA community. But amid this storm, Sheryl Swoopes stood out as a vocal supporter of DeShields, continuing her narrative against Caitlin Clark. Swoopes tweeted, "Head up, kid. Hate will not win. You are covered, and there's nothing these evil people can do about that. All love for you." This tweet, while supportive of DeShields, had significant consequences for Swoopes, leading to her removal from the WNBA broadcast team for the highly anticipated Fever versus Dallas Wings game, a pivotal WNBA matchup. When questioned by WNBA fans who were eager to hear her commentary, Swoopes didn't hold back, responding with the now famous phrase, "Not today, Satan." But let's be honest, supporting WNBA players who engage in potentially dangerous, career-threatening actions isn't a good look for a WNBA legend like Swoopes. This incident isn't isolated, it's just the latest in a series of actions that suggest jealousy and resentment towards Caitlin Clark, one of the most talked about players in women's basketball today. Stephen A. Smith, a well-known sports commentator frequently featured on ESPN, has consistently defended Caitlin Clark, and this time was no different. Smith didn't hesitate to call out Cheryl Swoops for her biased and baseless criticism of Clark.
Swoops. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Cheryl Swoops, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark?
The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a buzzword. It's a real phenomenon in women's basketball, driving WNBA viewership and attendance to new heights. Caitlin Clark is redefining the game every time she steps onto the court, breaking WNBA records and setting new standards for what's possible in women's sports. But with greatness comes envy, and Swoops' actions seem to reflect the challenges that come with being a trailblazer like Caitlin Clark. The tension between Cheryl Swoops and Caitlin Clark goes back to Clark's college basketball days. Swoops openly questioned whether Clark's skills would translate to the WNBA, even suggesting that Angel Reese's game was better suited for professional play. Swoops confidently predicted that Clark wouldn't dominate the WNBA immediately.
Like, nah, it's not gonna be that easy. So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
Okay.
But as we've seen, Caitlin Clark has exceeded all expectations, proving her doubters wrong at every turn. But Swoops didn't stop at questioning Clark's abilities. She also criticized Clark's NCAA scoring record, dismissing it as a result of volume shooting rather than skill.
Going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record? Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is, but that's the way it'll be. And I don't think it should be.
However, Swoops got several key facts wrong. She claimed that Caitlin Clark took advantage of an extra year of eligibility due to COVID-19, playing 5 years of college basketball. In reality, Clark played the standard 4 years, just like Kelsey Plum, the previous record holder. What's more, Caitlin broke the record in fewer games, showing that it wasn't just about taking more shots, but making them count. Swoops also exaggerated by stating that Caitlin Clark takes 40 shots per game, when in truth, Clark's average is closer to 19 shots per game. And perhaps the most glaring mistake, Swoops claimed that Caitlin is 25 years old when she's actually just 22.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go.
These inaccuracies have led many WNBA fans and analysts to question whether Swoops' criticism is based on facts or personal bias. What Cheryl Swoops fails to acknowledge is the monumental impact Caitlin Clark is having on women's basketball and the WNBA as a whole. Caitlin Clark is bringing more attention to the WNBA than ever before, inspiring a new generation of young female athletes and drawing in a wider audience to the league. Instead of uplifting the next generation of WNBA players, Swoops seems intent on undermining their success. But this isn't just about Caitlin, it's about the future of the WNBA. Supporting Caitlin Clark means supporting the growth and evolution of women's basketball. Despite the backlash, Cheryl Swoops eventually issued an apology, though many found it less than sincere. She defensively stated that black people can't be racist, a comment that did little to mend the situation.
I'm gonna say this, and then I wanna be done with this whole conversation. So for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist, first of all, black people can't be racist.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark continues to break records in her rookie WNBA season, solidifying her place in the history of the WNBA. From holding the WNBA single-game assist record to becoming the youngest player to achieve consecutive double-doubles in points and assists, Caitlyn's accomplishments are rewriting the WNBA record books. Yet Sheryl Swoopes seems determined to ignore these achievements. It's becoming clear that this isn't just a case of casual criticism. It's starting to look like a personal vendetta, and people are taking notice. Even Stephen A. Smith, known for his outspoken views on ESPN, couldn't stay silent. He publicly criticized Swoopes for her blatant bias against Clark.
Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average game attendance and per-game TV viewership. But despite the attendance and viewership records, there seems to be some haterade in the league in regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes herself.
The statistics don't lie. Caitlin Clark is leading the Indiana Fever to new heights, with the team boasting the highest average game attendance and TV viewership in the WNBA. And yet, Swoopes refuses to give Caitlin the credit she deserves. Instead, Sheryl Swoopes continues to praise other Fever players like Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, while conspicuously leaving Caitlin Clark out of the conversation.
This Indiana team, I'm going to say shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Watch her in AU. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle and just couldn't miss. Kelsey Mitchell is just broken. She is just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double.
This omission is becoming increasingly difficult for WNBA fans to ignore, especially as Caitlin continues to set new records and drive the success of the Indiana Fever. Swoopes' refusal to acknowledge Clark's contributions is not only petty, but also damaging to her own reputation as a WNBA legend. And the criticism doesn't end there. Swoopes went as far as to suggest that Caitlin's success is due to having better teammates at the Fever compared to Angel Reese's situation at the Chicago Sky. With Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese locked in a tight race for WNBA Rookie of the Year, Swoopes' dismissal of Clark's talent is almost laughable. So, what's next in this unfolding drama? As Caitlin Clark continues to rise in the WNBA, will the league and its legends like Sheryl Swoopes finally give her the recognition she deserves? Or will a shadow of jealousy continue to loom over her achievements? One thing is certain, this story is far from over.
Here's Clark. Her 29 points gets tripped up. As we look at Diamond DeShields and Caitlin Clark. And Diamond with 3 fouls against Caitlin. And they're going to go and look at this one.
It all started with a hard foul from Diamond DeShields. Caitlin Clark was breaking down the court after Aaliyah Boston stole the ball and passed it to her. But out of nowhere, DeShields bulldozed her. Again. This wasn't the first time Caitlin had taken a hard hit in this game, and it wouldn't be the last. But here's the thing, Caitlin Clark wasn't fazed. She got back up, brushed herself off, and didn't even waste her energy on DeShields except for a few choice words. At this point, it was clear. Everyone was gunning for her, especially Angel Reese and her crew. They knew if they didn't slow her down, their Rookie of the Year chances were over. Now let's not act like this was just some isolated incident. Take a look at this wild stat. Nearly 80% of all flagrant fouls against rookies this season, they were aimed right at Caitlin. That's right, 80%. And it wasn't just random players targeting her. A large chunk of those came from Angel Reese and her squad. This wasn't just a rivalry, it was an all-out war on the court. This was the final matchup between Caitlin's Fever and Angel's Sky for the season, and both sides knew what was at stake. If Angel Reese could outplay Caitlin in this game, it might just tip the scales for the Rookie of the Year race. But if Caitlin dominated, it was all over. Caitlin wasted no time proving why she's in a league of her own. Right out of the gate, she showed off her signature playmaking, threading the needle with a perfect pass to Nalissa Smith for an easy bucket. But Caitlin didn't stop there. She followed that up by draining a deep three, the kind that makes you wonder if she's even human. The crowd was going wild, and it was clear that Caitlin wasn't here just to win. She was here to destroy. Meanwhile, Angel, she was having a nightmare of a first quarter, missing wide open shots, turning the ball over. It was rough. By the end of the first, Caitlin had already stacked up 7 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. Angel, on the other hand, just 2 points and a whole lot of frustration, but things were only getting started. In the second quarter, Caitlin turned up the heat even more. She hit back-to-back threes and kept finding her teammates for easy looks. It was as if she had eyes in the back of her head, dishing out passes that left the Sky's defense scrambling. And Angel? She just couldn't keep up. Miss after miss, frustration was starting to boil over. She picked up 2 fouls, and by halftime, Caitlin had the Fever up by 10, with 15 points and 6 assists to her name. Angel had a mere 4 points and was already in foul trouble. The third quarter was where the game turned into a full-on clinic. Caitlin put on a show, cooking her defenders with lethal crossovers and pinpoint passes. It was like she was playing a different game from everyone else. At one point, she stopped on a dime and nailed a step-back 3 right in Angel Reese's face. The crowd erupted, and even the commentators couldn't believe what they were seeing. Caitlin was running the show, and Angel, she looked completely outmatched. By the end of the third quarter, Caitlin had dropped 25 points, dished out 9 assists, and pulled down 4 boards. Angel, meanwhile, was stuck on 6 points, and her Sky were down by 14. With the game all but wrapped up, Caitlin's dominance didn't stop. She was toying with the Sky's defense, slicing through them and finding wide-open shooters like it was nothing. Every possession was another nail in the coffin, and Angel Reese could only watch as Caitlin ran circles around her team. Then came the final dagger. Caitlin finds Lexi Hull for back-to-back threes, and with that, the Fever pushed the lead to 20. It was a statement, plain and simple. Caitlin had not only outplayed Angel, she had embarrassed her on the biggest stage of the season. But it didn't stop there. Right as the Fever started to pull their starters, DeShields once again took her shot at Caitlin. This time, a cheap shot to the body that sent Caitlin flying to the floor. The refs wasted no time, flagrant foul without a doubt. But what did Caitlin do? She got up, smiled, and waved to the crowd, letting them know that nothing could stop her. Not fouls, not trash talk, and certainly not Angel Reese. Caitlin had the last laugh, hyping up the Fever fans as she left the court. She had just dropped 31 points with 12 assists and 5 rebounds, putting the Rookie of the Year debate to bed once and for all. As for Angel Reese, she padded her stats during garbage time, finishing with a double-double, 10 points, 11 rebounds. But those numbers meant nothing. Everyone knew Caitlin had already won, not just the game, but the season-long battle for Rookie of the Year. Caitlin's message was clear. This is her league now. And if you think this performance was something, just wait. Because next up, the MVP conversation. After nights like this, there's no doubt Caitlin's got her eyes on even bigger prizes.